Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Devin and I read books, and today we're going to do my February wrap-up video. So I read 10 books in February if you're only counting what I started and finished in February. I really read 11. I did finish one in February that I talked about in another video, so I won't go too into it in this one. But we're going to take it from the top here. So these first 5 books I actually talked about in my mid-month check-in, so we're not going to go too deep into those. But that is Breath of the Dragon by Shannon Lee and Fonda Lee. I really love this book. It's a contender for one of my favorite books of the month for sure. I gave it 5 stars. I just highly recommend it. And because I liked this so much, I'm gonna be reading the Green Bone Saga probably this month, actually, because I don't really want to do it for Old School April. I have some other stuff I want to do. We'll talk about that when it gets a little closer. That was the first book. And then I had a couple of shorter horror books. I had Coup de Grace by Sophia Azram. I really like this book. It's not a book I'd recommend to a lot of people. It deals with some very heavy themes, and it is just a very heavy book in general, but I did really enjoy it. Day of the Door by Laurel Hightower. I think I gave this one 4 stars. These were both Nightworms books, by the way. I really liked this book a lot. I really love the cover so much. But every part of this book was just spectacular. The characters were great. The story was great. The twist was spectacular. It was just wonderful. Wonderful experience. The next one was the bummer of the month, which I hope does not become a recurring trend on this channel. And that was The Chosen by Taran Matharu. I actually did just buy Dragon Rider. I think that one I might read during Old School April. But I didn't like this. It was very so-so. I don't think the pacing worked. I don't think the characters were very well done. I'm going to read book 2, and then I'm going to decide if I'm going to finish the series or just DNF there. I was really disappointed. I really liked his Summoner series, and I've heard nothing but good things about Soulbound Saga, so that bummed me out. But the last book in the other video, and the 5th book I read, was Twelfth Night by Alexine Farrell-Fullmouth, who also writes as Olivia Blake. This one I had a fun time with. I thought it was super cute. It's a very fun Valentine's Day read. It's a Shakespeare retelling, but it was very enjoyable. It's very modernized, and honestly, Shakespeare retelling romantic comedies from the 90s were kind of my thing, so I had a blast with that. After that one, I read Dungeon Crawler Carl, book 1, which was on my Kindle. I talked about book 1 and book 2 in another video, so I won't go too deep into those, but I had a blast with both Dungeon Crawler Carl 1 and then 2, the Dungeon Anarchist Cookbook. Super spectacular, just so fun, so enjoyable. Princess Donut just reigns supreme for sure. And then I read This Cursed House by Del Sandine. And I gave this 4 star, but I bounced around between 4 and 5. This could definitely be a 5-star read. So this was a Nightworms book from a couple months ago, I think. I don't think it was that long ago. I really loved it. It focuses on this one character, Gemma, who she has some personal stuff going on in her life, and then she gets invited to kind of work for this family down in the South in New Orleans during the Duchamp family in 1962 during the Civil Rights Movement. And that plays a big theme in the whole plot, and it is ultimately a ghost story. But there's so much more to it than that. There's so much character development. There's a big mystery element to it. It's not just the normal haunted house story. I really loved it. I really loved the writing style. I loved the characters. I loved the character development that you see from characters that you're blatantly not supposed to like. And you probably won't by the end of the book, but you do see some growth there. And it just deals with a lot of heavier themes as well, but kind of packaged in this gothic horror haunted house mystery set in like a semi-modern civil rights era. And I loved it. I had a blast with this. I think it's a 4-star on Goodreads. It's one of those I go back and forth on. I might have given it 5-star, and if I did, that would have made perfect sense. This was spectacular. It's probably one of my favorite Nightworms books that I've gotten since I signed up last year. After that, I read Dungeon Crawler Carl Book 3, which I don't know if I remember the exact title for, but I liked it. I think it was the weakest one of the 3 that I've read so far. I'm about 30% of the way through book 4, but the third one, I think it had a lot of the comedy still. It had a lot of the fun characters. It had some really good twists, some really cool twists, some just out of the blue things happening you wouldn't expect. But overall, I didn't like the design of the dungeon floor or the theme very much, and I felt like it almost felt like playing a video game and slogging through a level that you're just not enjoying, like an environment that you just don't like. I'm gonna make a lot of people mad, but I felt the same way in the first like 30 hours of Skyrim, actually, when you're in the Nord, and it's the Nord region in the north, and it's just like empty wasteland, you know, just tundra. It's not really what's going on in Dungeon Crawler Carl. It's a lot more complicated than that, but it does feel very dull and monotonous, and it's just kind of a very boring environment. For me, what really carried book 3 was the characters. It was Carl, it was Princess Donut, it was Mordecai, it was Katya, it was all the humor and all these little pseudo-mysterious elements kind of mixed in there that really kept me going. So when I was really bored while they're trying to figure out the mystery of this dungeon and kind of how to get to the next floor and find the stairwell, that was able to kind of push me along. And I think that was done very well. I think the writing made it manageable, but overall, I didn't like that theme very much. I still think it was a 3 to 4 star for me. I don't think it would ever go above 4. I'm reeling towards 3.5. But overall, the whole series has been 4 or 5 stars, for sure. So, you know, nobody bats 1,000. One book out of a 7-book series that just missed the mark for me. That's not a big deal at all. At all, guys. Highly recommend Dungeon Crawler Carl if you haven't already. I have heard the audio is the best way to do it, but I'm just I'm devouring these books on my Kindle. And then finally, we have 2 books that I just did a reading vlog on, so we'll go into them a little bit more here. And they're both by Darcy Coates, and that is Dead of Winter and Vengeful Dead, book 5 in the Gravekeeper series, in the penultimate title. So first, let's talk about Dead of Winter. I liked it. I did. It felt like a smaller budget horror movie you'd watch on Slasher or Sci-Fi Channel late at night. It was very fun. There's a strong mystery element. Some of the kills were great. There's one very horrific thing that kind of trends throughout the entire book, and I thought that was super cool. Overall, it was fine. A lot of the characters were kind of flat. It is predictable if you read the genre. Again, I would make that argument for most slashers, though. That's not a deal breaker for me, but I know that might be for you. But I really enjoyed it. For me, this was a solid 3 stars. I don't think I would ever give it 4, but it is definitely one that if I wouldn't reread it again, I would use an Audible credit for, just so I could listen to it on a snowy day during another big snowstorm. I had a blast. Definitely liking Darcy Coates more the more I read her, even though thematically a lot of her stuff seems to be very similar. Finally, the big one for me, I don't know if it was my favorite book of the month, but it was one of the ones I was most excited for, and it absolutely delivered. That is The Vengeful Dead. I love this series. I love this book. It is kind of a cozy horror. It makes me think a lot of like Haven or some of those shows from Sci-Fi Channel, but with ghosts. The town of Blighty is interesting. Some of the characters are fun. I would have liked to see them play a bigger role in this book rather than just kind of being decoration for Kira during everything that is going on. But overall, I thought this was a very fitting end to the series. I wish it wasn't over, but I'm glad it ended the way it did. If you are interested or ever been interested, I do highly recommend it. Just know that it's not the scariest or the most horror-y horror novel out there. It's definitely a horror book, but it is almost cozy horror. It is very Sci-Fi Channel-y or TV horror in that sense, but I really like the character development of Kira. I like the twist. I like the plot. It just feels very cozy in general. It feels like what you expect in a lot of ways, and it's just a very fun read. I had a blast, and there's cats, and we always like cats. So that's everything I read in February. I did another big blog. I guess not big. It is about 35 minutes though. I had a blast doing that. I thought that was very fun. I would like to do another one in March, but I have a March project that is going to be a little bit different in style that I don't want to spoil too much for, so I may not have time. I'm also going to, if I can find my copy, here it is. I'm also going to be rereading Dune in March. That will probably get a big video. And my Nightworms book for the month, because I'm trying to read at least one Nightworms book a month for sure, is going to be The Queen by Nick Cutter. Other than that, guys, I had a big February. I had a really big February. March, I'm going to dial back a little bit in preparation for Old School April, which we'll talk about towards the end of March when we get into April. Other than that, guys, I want to hear about what you read in February, so put that in the comments down below. I am going to get to work on my March TBR, and I will catch you next time. Thank you.